What is up, people? My name is BlankPage, and welcome to my Hearthstone Journey to Untitled review and discussion of the new cards that Blizzard just released. This is part 4. Hopefully you guys will enjoy. If you guys are new to my channel, I upload Yugioh, Pokemon, Hearthstone content, so if you guys are into any of that or just card games in general, hit that subscribe button and you guys won't miss out. So with that said, we're now just going to get into the new cards that they just released. So starting off, there is the new quest for Paladin. 1 mana, obviously. The Last Kaleidosaur. Quest, cast 6 spells on your minions. Reward, Galvadon. This is Galvadon, a 5 mana 5/5 beast. It has a battle cry adapt 5 times. Alright, so the Last Kaleidosaur spell card for the quest. Casting 6 spells on your minions, that's difficult. The spells for Paladin aren't the best. They buff your minions, they give them Divine Shield and whatnot. But casting 6 spells in one game isn't the easiest thing to do. So that will definitely be a bit of a pain to do, and it's on your minions, so you have to play the buff cards as well as the give your minions Divine Shield spell cards. It doesn't really count if you play Lay on Hands, for example. That doesn't buff your minions. So that won't count if you use that card. So getting this card off, it will be very tricky, in my opinion. It will seem kind of worth it because adapting 5 times is crazy. You can give it like Divine Shield, you can give it Enrage, you can give it +3 health, +3 attack, you can give it Poison, which if it attacks anything it just dies. You can give it Taunt, you can give it Stealth. You can give it a lot of crap, but the Last Kaleidosaur quest is very hard and tricky to do. So we'll have to see. Overall, I think the Last Kaleidosaur is a bit difficult, but it can be pulled off in the right deck. It just has to be a specific deck. You can't really mess around with the deck too much to where you can make like your own version of it. You can't like really mix and mash things. You have to play it in a specific way, and that's what I don't really like about this quest. It's definitely harder to do than the other quests for sure. And Galvadon, I think, is a good legendary. It's just going to be a pain to get him out. Alright. Next card we have is Terrascale Stalker. 3 mana 3/3. He is a hunter card. Battle cry, trigger a friendly minion's death rattle. He's a good 3-drop, in my opinion. So let's say you have out the 1 mana 1/1 spider, in which whenever it dies you can add a beast to your hand. This card can go decent with him. He can make it to where like your boom bots for Dr. Boom can go off. He can make it to where Sludge Belcher goes off. He can make it to where Sylvanas goes off, etc. He's a good card. I think he's going to do a lot of good work for Hunter, and I see him as being just a pretty good 3-drop that can make it to where your death rattles can basically fuck up your opponent. So overall, I think he's a good 3-drop, and I think he's going to be used a lot in Death Rattle Hunter. Next up, we have the new Shaman spell card. It is called Spirit Echo. It is 3 mana. Give your minions Death Rattle. Return this to your hand. So Shamans are getting a lot of good cards from this expansion, not going to lie. And this is a frightening card. Alright, so you can give this to your Murlocs, you can give this to your Elementals, you can give this to your Tunnel Trogs or whatever else, like the face Shaman kind of cards. It makes it pointless to try and kill off Shaman's board if they play this. It gives that mentality to your opponent. It's like, well, they're just going to play next turn and they're just going to do more elemental crap. So, or more Murloc crap. So, Spirit Echo, I think, is top tier. It's going to be used. And I think this can also stack on top of other Death Rattle minions to where not just only their original Death Rattle goes off, but you can also pull them back to the hand. So, Spirit Echo is very good. I think Shamans are going to run it. It's going to be a really good card to play with. And, yeah, I like the card. I'm going to use it. Not going to lie, I'm going to use it. And I'm going to mess up some people with it. So, yeah, I think it's a really good spell card. And Shamans just got even more OP. Next up, we have Small Raptor. 1 mana 2/1 beast for Hunter. Death Rattle, shuffle a 4/3 Raptor into your deck. That 4/3 Raptor is also a 1 mana card. I couldn't find a picture of it, but it is a 1 mana card. Trust me on that one. So, 1 mana 2/1, very good. Death Rattle, shuffle a 1 mana 4/3 Raptor into your deck. Pretty good. That's pretty good any turn if you guys are playing Beast Hunter or just Face Hunter in general. For a 1 mana 4/3 is very strong. Given the state of the board in which you are dealing with, that card can be very devastating to have to deal with, or it can be like a walk in the park for your opponent. It really depends how much defense your opponent has and how dominating you are on the board already. So I think the 1 mana 2/1 is great. It works with Hyena perfectly. It works with the new quest that Hunter just got. And the 1 mana 4/3 is just also very good at any given turn because you can just play it on any turn you want. It doesn't cost much mana at all. Obviously, it's only 1 mana. So let's say you have like 5 mana and you get the card, you can just play it because probably a lot of your other cards aren't high mana either. So I think this is a good card. I think it's going to be ran whether or not you're playing the new quest or not. I think Small Raptor is going to be a good asset, a good one drop for hunters. And he just works with Hunter in more ways than one. So good card, and I like it. Next card is Shadow Visions, a 2 mana priest card. Discover a copy of a spell in your deck. So let's say you're really wanting that Entomb, or you're really wanting that Excavated Evil, or Shadow Word Pain, or Shadow Word Death, or something, because you really need it that turn or something. This card can do it for you. And let's say you are running 2 copies of Shadow Visions. You guys can theoretically keep discovering this card over and over. If you guys are only playing, a few spell cards in your deck, you could theoretically keep discovering this card where you guys can keep getting a lot of your own spell cards over and over and over. So I think Shadow Visions is a very good card. It's going to help out a lot. 2 mana is perfect, and I think it's going to do justice for Priest in certain situations. I know you definitely need a specific spell card to deal with something. So Shadow Vision's pretty good, overpowered, and I like it. And I think it's going to be ran. Next card, we have Servant of Calamos, a 5 mana 4/5 elemental, which is a neutral card. Battle Cry, if you played an elemental last turn, discover an elemental. This is a good card. I like it. 5 mana 4/5 isn't bad at all. That's actually very good. And discovering an elemental is great. So overall, I think this is a good card. It's going to be ran. I like it. I'm going to play it in my elemental decks. And I think it's going to do its justice because I think a lot of times you might get an elemental legendary because there isn't that many elementals in the game, and a lot of them are actually legendaries, or good 4 or 5 of them are legendaries, I think, because a lot of the cards did get their typings changed that were from the classic set to elemental, and some of those were legendaries. So I think Servant of Calamos can get you some of those nice elemental legendaries, and all the other elementals we've seen thus far are also very, very good. So I think Servant of Calamos is going to be a great card, especially in Shaman, and I think he is going to do a lot of good work as a 5-drop in any elemental deck. Next up, we have a new Warlock card. It is called Ravenous Pterodax. It is a 4 mana 4/4 beast, and has the battle cry, destroy a friendly minion to adapt twice. So it's a 4 mana 4/4 beast. Has no real good synergy with Warlock because of the beast tag, yet at least, because Warlocks synergize through Demon. Destroying a friendly minion to adapt twice. This can be good in a Death Rattle deck. Very good in Death Rattle deck. You guys can make it to where this thing can adapt twice and get Divine Shield and Taunt, for instance, and get +3 health and a +3 attack, for instance, and get Poison plus Stealth, for instance. So this card is, it's not consistent enough to where it's really good, but it's not a bad card either. It's kind of like rolling the dice. You can get Poison with Stealth, which is probably the best thing you guys can get, and then you guys could also get something that's not too crazy, like +3 health and Taunt, for instance. So I think this is okay. I would give it 5 out of 10 stars just because it's not broken. It's not like oh my gosh, put this in every deck or whatnot. But it's not bad either. So overall, 5 out of 10 stars. Next up, we have a new Paladin card. It is Lightfuse Stegodon, a 4-mana 3/4 beast. Battlecry, adapt your Silverhand recruits. So, I think this is a good card. We've seen in the past that if you just buff your Silverhand recruits to have 3 attack each, they devastate the board. They they can do a lot of work. So, I think Lightfuse Stegodon is a good card for Silverhand recruit decks, and I think this is just a good card in general for those kind of decks, and it's the right support they need. So I think Lightfused Stegodon is good in those decks, but it's not good in really much anything else. So overall, I think it's a 6 out of 10 card. If you guys want to play around with some Silverhand recruits and buff them to hell and back to where they can do a lot of damage all at once. So overall, Lightfused Stegodon is good support for that deck. And I think Lightfused Stegodon is going to be ran in those decks at 2. So, yeah, I think he's really good. Next, we have a new legendary. It is King Mosh, 9-mana 9/7 beast. He is a warrior card. Battlecry, destroy all damaged minions. Alright, so there is Whirlwind, there is Death Spite. There is a bunch of cards in which you can deal damage to your opponent's side of the field. This card's good. 9-mana 9/7. 9 mana is a lot. I wish he was a bit less. Maybe 7 mana. 7 mana is a bit much to ask for because he's a 9/7, destroy all damage minions. But 9 mana is also a bit too much at the same time. You can't really combo this card with anything. You can only really combo it with Whirlwind, I believe. So, you can't really like combo this in with like a Pyromancer and some other kind of spell card, for instance. It has to be either Emperor Thorson, where it's 8 mana or less, or play Whirlwind, or already have like a Death Spite set up or something the turn before, or just have your opponent's minions already dwindled down just a bit to where this card can just destroy them. So King Mosh I think is a good card. He's a good board clear for Warrior, and I know that Warrior kind of needs a bit more than just Brawl. So King Mosh I think is a good card. 9 mana is a bit much, and I think that might be the drawback that people will not want to play this card by. So if he wasn't 9 mana, he'd be ran, but since he's 9 mana, I don't think he's going to be ran, at least competitively, which is sad. But overall, I like the card art. I like his effect. It's very good. If he was just a few mana less, he'd be great. A couple mana less, but 9 mana is a bit too much for a Warrior. So we'll have to see. I like him. I'll use him. He'll be a fun card, but I don't think he'll be used competitively. Next up, we have a new legendary yet again. It is a 6-mana 6/6, and he is known as Hemet Jungle Hunter. Battlecry, destroy all cards in your deck that cost 3 mana or less. So he is a good deck thinner for sure. If you guys are needing that Cthulhu, or that Ysera, or Nazoth, or Deathwing, for instance, and you guys just aren't getting him, and you need him like next turn or something, or else you're dead. He's a good card. He can help you thin out that deck really nicely, or at least easier, more so. So he'd have to be ran in a deck that is widely consumed by a bunch of 3 mana cost cards, along with just maybe a couple or a few cards that are more than 3 mana, to where this guy's effect actually does something, to where it actually does thin out the deck. So you'd have to play like a kind of zoo-ish kind of deck with just a few high-cost cards, in which case you don't want to make sure you want to make sure you don't do this too early on, or else you can screw yourself over. But if you guys are really needing that Nazoth or Cthulhu or Deathwing, and you guys just aren't getting to them because there's too many 3-drops or whatnot, you guys can thin out your deck with this card and devastate your opponent next turn with it. So overall, I think he is a good deck thinner. His effect is very overwhelming. So make sure you guys use it in the right circumstance, or else you could probably maybe screw yourself over. But overall, I think it's a good card. Next up, we have 4 mana 5/4 Gentle Megasaur. He's a beast. Battlecry, adapt your Murlocs. I think this card came out a long time ago, a few weeks ago, and I just never went over him by accident. But overall, I think he's a good card. He's gonna be ran in Paladin, Murloc, as well as Shaman Warlock, and maybe Warlock Murloc as well. I think sometimes Warlocks run them. So overall, I think he's a good card. He's going to help out Murloc decks, and yeah, he's a good 4-drop. 4 mana 5/4 is really good. Adapting your Murlocs is even better, to where, because you know, some Murlocs can get Wind Fury, some of them get Divine Shield and whatnot. So overall, I think he's a good card, and he's going to help out Murlocs. Next up, we have a new warrior card. It is a 2 mana spell card. Explore Ungoro. Replace your deck with copies of Discover a card. So this is very RNG. Very, very random. I think it's going to be a fun card, but it's not going to be used competitively at all. So, good card design, I guess. But it's not going to be ran in most decks just because it's so random. But it's a fun card. So, props to them for making this card. Next up, we have a new Druid card. Evolving Spores. 4 mana, adapt your minions. So 4 mana is a bit too much. I kind of wish this was 2 mana, maybe 3 mana. 3 mana is probably in the right spot, but 4 mana is just too much. That can be a dead turn 4. This card is only really good if you have a board state. If you do not have a board state, this card isn't as good. You won't get the exact value you guys will need. And this card is basically just like a roll the dice kind of card. There is better adapts than other ones. Like Stealth, for instance, is pretty good. Poison is pretty good. Taunt isn't the best. +3 attack isn't too good, because if your minion has low health, then that card isn't too good. In some cases, also, +3 health is also not the best. But Divine Shield, I think, is also a pretty good effect if you guys do get that on your monster. So overall, I think this card is very RNG. Sometimes you guys will get a good Evolving Spore. Sometimes you guys will get a rather not so good Evolving Spore. So roll the dice kind of card. And sometimes you guys will get what you want. Sometimes you guys won't. But overall, I think this card just costs 1 mana too much. And I wish it was 3, but it's not. So, oh well. Next up, we have Crackling Razormaw. 2 mana 3/2 beast. It is a new hunter card. It is Battlecry, adapt a friendly beast. This is a good card. It works in both beast decks, as well as it's basically allowing hunter to have a good adapt monster as well, if you guys want to play some adapt stuff in your hunter deck. So overall, I think this is a good card, and I think it's going to be ran in some hunter decks. It's sometimes a bit fluky with these kind of cards, because sometimes they might not bring enough tempo to the board. But overall, I think a 3/2 2 mana card is very good. It has also the beast tag, so that makes it even more viable, and giving a friendly beast adapt is also decent. So you can give it Divine Shield, for example. You guys can give it +3 attack, for instance, for those face hunter decks. So overall, I think Crackling Razormaw is a decent card, and I think it can be run in a lot of different various hunter decks out there, and that's what I like. I like the diversity of this card. So overall, I think it's good, and I may or may not run this. Who knows? It depends. All right, last card, guys, and it is Blazecaller. 7 mana 6/6 elemental. It is a neutral card. Battlecry. If you played an elemental last turn, deal 5 damage. So I like this card. 7 mana 6/6 is a good stat line. Deal 5 damage to anything is great. That kills pretty much anything that is 7 mana or less. So Blazecaller, I think, is going to be ran, and it's going to be a devastating turn 7. If your opponent only has 1 card on the board, and you just take it out with this, then you either are +1 more card than them if they didn't kill your last turn, or you now just have a minion and they don't, and this card is fresh with health. So I think Blazecaller is a good tempo card. It can destroy pretty much anything that is 7 mana or less, so this card is going to devastate the board on turn 7. And yeah, I think he's a really good card. He's going to be played in a lot of decks with elementals, and I think he's going to be a good Shaman card and Mage card, as well as just a good elemental card in all the other elemental decks that he can be played in, because he's neutral, so you might as well play him in every elemental deck you guys can. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. My favorite card out of all this is King Mosh. I like his effect. I think he can do a lot of cool things. But yeah, tell me down below what is your favorite card out of the new cards that have just been released. I would like to hear what you guys have to say. Thank you guys for watching. Again, if you guys are new to my content, I upload Hearthstone, Yugioh, and Pokemon material. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button. You guys won't miss out. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care, and as always, adios.